Man, I hate running. But I did not know how much I loved watching other people do it though. This is sports. What the heck? There's something about this anime that just captured that raw feeling of competitive running. No superpowers, not even special anime effects to make things look more interesting. This is just breathing and body heat. And yet this is the anime that had me sweating at the beginning of each race. This is the movie that reminded me of my best and worst days in high school. This is not a very unique thing to say, is it? Yeah, sorry, hang on.
Do it for the love of the game, and the game will always love you back. You're much too focused on the end goal. Have you ever heard of the phrase, trust the process?
To run is to suffer. That's something I unironically used to say very often. See, throughout high school, I've done cross country for a year and track for 2. And as a kid with asthma, you might be asking, why would you ever do that to yourself? It sure wasn't for the love of the game. I hated this. After every meet, I'd tell myself the same thing. Today is going to be the day that I quit. But I never ended up doing that, and I found out why pretty soon. It's because after every meet, when I was on the ground, barely able to breathe with my legs hurting too bad to even exist, I'd get up the next day and be so proud of myself for doing it. Running full speed around this red oval felt like the best thing for a day. And I remember that feeling so vividly because it wasn't that long ago. Or at least it didn't feel that long ago. That feeling of nervousness you get right before your event. The conversation you make with the random runners next to you. The silence before the gunshot that puts everything into motion. Then the Germans who would always ask me if this is the sound of my home country. All of that was captured here. Every emotion came flooding back to me. I was nervous for the characters on my screen because I almost felt like I was there. I know, at least generally, what it feels like to be lined up at the starting line with all of that pressure. But I think they call that PTSD. So here's the deal. I could take a more energetic approach to this video, but I don't think I will. Just because this anime, despite being a sports anime, gave me a more nostalgic feeling than anything. Look back vibes is the best way I know how to describe it. Like, it's obviously about running, but not only in a literal sense. I've seen a few people go into the whole why do you run question and how it's been asked over and over again, implying that maybe there's some deeper question being implied, hinting at more depth beneath the surface. And I mean, yeah, that's valid, but I think there's a much more telling scene of that implied depth in this movie. That happens at the very end where, spoiler warning, we didn't even get to see who won, like, the big race. Why'd they do that? Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, this race ending how it did is kind of why I'm making this video in the first place. Something about it didn't sit right with me, and it not sitting right with me was perfect. There's something here, something larger than just running, but running was the only way to convey that. By nature, running is just about the closest thing to a solo sport that's not actually a solo sport there is. I'd know, we win as a team, but you lose alone. Marcus. There's no swapping if you randomly get tired halfway through a race. There are no balls to play with. It's just you and whatever you can do. So if we see that, if we see these people improving, pushing their bodies to their limits and doing 100% of what they can do, why is it that in the end we don't even get to see who did it best? Would it not make sense to show the person who went through the most pain, winning? Is that not supposed to be the big payoff? The reason why I watched this movie to the end? Well, here's the thing about that. Meet Kaido.
Ever since I was a kid, I knew for a fact that I was talented. Running always came easy to me.
Alright, this dude is my freaking goat. So you remember how I was going on about how raw track was and how it's about people pushing themselves to their limits? Well, hot take. Some people shouldn't be doing that. There tends to be an unspoken age range when it comes to this sort of thing. Admittedly, it can be kind of hard to find this maximum and minimum, but if you have completely gray hair, I think you're out. Shouldn't you be worried about back pains and 401ks and, I don't know, something? Society says that by this point you should, for the most part, be resting, and your body tends to say the same thing. But Kaido says no. Kaido says if this is what they call my reality, I'll just jump to a new one. I'll move to a reality where I can move freely, a reality where I'm still in my prime, a reality where I win.
Oh my gosh.
I know, that sounds insane. He's delusional. I don't know what's wrong with him. But you know what? It freaking works! What? Isn't this anime supposed to be about the raw experience of running? Just breathing and body heat. I said that, right? So if that's the case, why on earth does something that utterly absurd remotely work? Guys, why are we entertaining this? I've been pondering over it a bit, and I think it's because this is less of a physical race and more a battle of mentality.
Cold, hard reality won't get rewritten on its own. So this year, I'll deal with this reality.
I don't want to be one of those YouTubers that read too much into things and adds depth where there really was none, but I kind of think that's what I'm doing now, so I want to preface this section by saying, shoot, maybe I'm wrong. This anime from a technical standpoint is just about people who want to run for one reason or another. So they race. That honestly could be all there is to it. It's cool to see people run. This could be like your friend's life story. But wouldn't it be really cool if there was more than that? Going back to the whole why do you run piece and getting these characters different answers really does open up the possibility that, yeah, this really could be a mentality thing. It doesn't seem like that in the first half of the movie, but it kind of turns into that, I think. I rewatched the movie just to make sure this part of the video didn't turn out to be absolute bogus, but yeah. It's as if the movie's focus shifts.
Why do you run?
Now is not such a straightforward question to answer. Hang on, I need to think about it. It's complicated. Togashi, the main character in this movie, was told by a number of people a number of times that his running style changed. And again, I don't want to add layers where there were none, but I think it's pretty clear that every time his running style would change, so would his answer to the previous question. His answer to the question, why do you run, would change because his mentality around running would change. Whether it became something to do for fun, for glory, for someone else, for a living, for proof to yourself, it doesn't matter, because it had this weird tendency to change, like often. Moral of the story, no one knows what they want. And that's okay. You were never expected to have everything figured out from the get-go. At the end of the day, I think the most accurate thing said in this anime was said by someone who had lost the point of running after committing his entire life to it.
Have you ever wondered about it? What the point is of running the same distance every day? I've had one clear goal. I've been thinking about nothing else but setting records. For the last 10 years, that's all I've really cared about. In the end, even if I set some new records, I'm not sure what waits for me beyond that. You gain nothing by being fast, lose nothing by being slow, so maybe it's all for nothing. And if that's the case, then what is that brief moment for? And why are we even competing in this race? What is the point of it? Why do we continue to run?
And you know what? He's not wrong. Like I said, back in high school, this was a sport I was so sure I was going to quit because what's the incentive? It's kind of hard to feel that team spirit when you're out there running alone. Track isn't the most popular sport, and no one will even know your name unless you're first. So what's the point? If to run is to suffer, and to suffer means nothing unless you're number one, what is the point of running? Why do we run?
It's obvious, isn't it? For us to give it our all. No other reason.
Every person knows themselves the best out of anyone, and there's no place anyone truly belongs. But with all that said, none of these things matter. Nothing takes away the joy of when we give our all.
That is not insane to say. It's not insane.